Well, this is the Lexus RC F, the Mac Daddy of sporting from Lexus at the end of the day. I mean, what more could you want? 5-liter V8 under the hood, 470 odd horsepower, 530 Newton meters of torque. This is the front end that you're looking at. That makes sense. It lines up with the F badging on the side. None of the just the trim and all show and no go. This thing goes big time. I mean, first of all, obviously on the front end, you've got functional air intakes, presuming for the transmission cooler, additional engine cooler. You've got functional intakes as well for the front brakes to cool them. Tri-LED headlights, LED DRL, LED indicators. Look at that bulge on the front hood. This is actually functional to exhaust heat from the engine bay. Like, this thing is a serious luxurious weapon. So whether you say sports car, grand tourer, let's have a look at it from side profile. Obviously two-door coupe, F badging decal on the side, functional again, aero on the side to reduce drag. Obviously side skirts as well. Nice little two-tone actually on the mirror, so you've got body color, a little bit of a chrome accent with your LED integrated, and then chrome black. You've got Michelin, only the best tires, Pilot's Sports. What are these? PS4 S's, and 255 35 19s on the front. And if we follow on to the side, the rear, I like this sort of platinum smoked chrome finish. There's actually a lot going on, but it all ties together really quite nicely in that regard. And look at the hips, man. Look at the staunch on this thing. LED tail lights. You have a integrated active spoiler in the rear, which lifts up. And then real exhaust tips. Dual exhaust tips on the back. And obviously RC F badging and a color-coded rear diffuser. Let's have a look at the trunk space. A decent size opening, obviously, for a coupe, presuming full-size spare. There you go. You've got your toolkit, your jack. So not the greatest in that regard. Maybe if you wanted to go with a space saver, so you had a bit more trunk space, but you do also have paths through in the back. No electronics, obviously, for the rear trunk. It's manual in that regard, save on weight. And here's your Mark Levinson, I think 14 speaker sound system. This will be your subwoofer. So if you get tired of that glorious V8 sound, and you want to listen to some other tunes, you can enjoy that. Obviously, massive ass front calipers, which are in a nice orange color with a F badge decal on there. And then on the rear, you've got 275. So this is not a square setup; it's a staggered setup, indicating performance. And let's jump on inside. Obviously, you've got nice Lexus F badging as you get in. Here we are on the doors. Let me just step in. Whoopa! And here is your cockpit. Now, I guess this is the only lacking perspective overall, but nice door card. This, folks, is where your F Sport trim makes sense. Beautifully bolstered seats with your F badging embossed on top. They're also ventilated here, and your door cards have got this sort of silver carbon fiber weave, a little bit of brushed aluminium, some leather, some Alcantara, some more leather. So it's so well how everything comes together, but it's actually quite busy from a material standpoint in that regard. And then if we head on to your steering wheel, very nice, very grippy paddle shifters, of course. Auto dimming rear view mirror, whoop whoop. Now here you will be all too familiar with this infotainment, a CD player in 2024, some archaic maps in 2024. So folks, if you're wanting infotainment and the latest technology and you're not bothered about performance, RCF is not really the car for you. Go with the RX. That was fantastic in that regard. Obviously being a hybrid, economical as well. But this is basically about performance at the end of the day. So beautiful steering wheel, nice and chunky, paddle shifters, 8-speed gearbox. Let's start her up. Oof, oof. Yes, you do get noise being pumped in from the engine bay, but I don't think it's artificially pumped through the speakers. Let's give it a little rev. She's already warmed up, so don't worry about that. Gorgeous, gorgeous. So the main thing about the RCF at the end of the day is performance, handling with luxury from Lexus, reliability from Lexus, and sort of a more sporty characteristic, but still Lexus-esque driving. I really love the instrument cluster. So you've got an analog speedometer, you've got a bit of a digital screen here, and then this screen actually in the middle looks analog, but it's actually digital. So if you head on here over here and you adjust the drive modes, I will just show you on screen. So if we switch to Sports S, it moves like your engine temperature, your oil temperature, your coolant temperature over into the middle, because now that's obviously a priority, and switches your fuel gauge out. The instrument, the tachometer changes as well. And then if we change to Sports S Plus, it changes once again for a more cleaner tachometer. But this thing just, I mean, it sounds gorgeous, it drives, it's really confidence inspiring. It's kind of like, let's say when you were younger, you bought yourself a Toyota 86, for example, and that was like a platform to, you know, mod on and make it your own and all of that. No, with this, you just buy it. You can go to Yas Marina circuit, you can do a track day, thrash it, it's not going to overheat, it's not going to give you problems, and then you drive home in comfort. So it's kind of a more mature, cultivated sports car with Lexus DNA as well. Obviously the binnacle here, nice little Alcantara accents as well. As I mentioned, you do have CarPlay. Not sure about Android Auto. We'll put it on screen. You've got your ventilated seat, CD player. Here's basically your climate control section. AC vent, analog clock is obviously there. Your traditional Lexus shifter, reverse camera is kind of mediocre. It's there, it works, happy days. And then you have dry mode, and then if you go over into manual, up, down. It would be nice if it's more original for that to be down and that to be up, but you've always got the paddle shifters at the end of the day. Over here, 2 cup holders, your old school Lexus touchy wheelie controlly thingy mabobby. It is touchscreen as well, so you can use that. I find using basically menu is what you go through, and then if you want to go through to phone, for example, or let's go back to information, you can obviously do your trip info, all of those details, but super old school. Like I say, don't bother with it. Plug in CarPlay. Glove box, decent size as well. Obviously Lexus AC, really good in that regard, and I think a 14 speaker Mark 11 sound system. You do have a moonroof, sunroof as well, very nice. And let's, for those unfortunate folks, step on into the rear. Another little like, oh, I can't get over that sound. It's just gorgeous. Again, this is Lexus, right? So you'd have a buckle or a clip. Nope, it's magnetic. It's just literally magnetic that sits in place. So really nice in that regard. Then you just grab the lever, pull it forward, and electronically it's going to go forward. And I can sit behind myself. I do have an 86, so I know what it's like in that regard. Hopefully it stops. I do sit quite high seating position given the long hood, and it's okay. I'm on a shorter stature, but obviously the roof with the sunroof, moonroof sits down a bit further, but it's quite pleasant. You have AC vents. Happy days. What else do you have here? You have two cup holders. You've got your Mark Levinson speaker. You got a little hook for your suit, jacket, laser. And here is a nice little armrest. And there was a through package. So if you have longer load items, you should be able to access that as well. So I'd say in a pinch, you're going out for dinner, you know, no issues sitting in the back. Plenty of feet room actually, which is quite good. And yeah, it's not bad. Obviously with the bolstering and everything on the seats, you don't have the greatest visibility, but it's a 2+2 at the end of the day. So I think, folks, let's head on to the best bit, which is going to be the driving portion, and see what it's like in that regard. One other thing, obviously armrest, relatively deep, two USB-As, a 3.5mm jack if you've got your iPhone that you want to plug in, and obviously a 12-volt socket as well. But yeah, as I said, let's get on to the driving portion and go from there. So, onto the drive portion. And first up is gonna be, how well does it do with all of the potholes and bumps in JVC? This was one thing I was super shocked actually, because the chassis is really stiff, but when I'm going over these bumps, yes, you know that they're considerably more than a UX or a RX or even the LX. That's the dream over these bumps. But how quickly does the suspension recover just to be like, oh, there was something that upset the car a little bit, but I'm ready to go again. It's okay. Fantastic. Like, we've driven cars before where, okay, they're hard, they're great for the track, but then when you drive on the streets, insanely uncomfortable because the suspension is not damped that great at the end of the day. This still has that Lexus dampening at the end of the day where it's super compliant, it's really soft, all of that. Not soft, compliant, but then that harshness isn't there because at the end of the day you're in a Lexus, right? Heading out onto the drive portion, if we quickly change, we're in normal mode, let's change it up to Sports S, Sports S Plus. Roll on the throttle, and bam! It's just got instantaneous torque on tap, 530 Newton meters of torque to be precise. And there you go. You're at the speed limit, you're cruising along, can go back to put it in eco mode. The handling is very sharp, but confidence inspiring. It's not skittish, it's not like, oh, I'm not sure what the car is gonna do, I wanna step out a little bit. None of that whatsoever. But yeah, just driving along on the highway, 8-speed gearbox, really comfortable. The seats are fantastic. I really like them. Obviously bolstered considerably than any of the other Lexus models, but it gives you that, you know, sports feeling at the end of the day. I'm not just in something that's only luxurious and comfortable. No, I got a little pep in my step. I can go a little bit quicker and do it with ease. So if you're looking to cover, you know, long distances extremely quickly, RCF is probably a great option in that regard. Visibility and everything, it's great overall from a front, front looking standpoint. Obviously, being a coupe two-door, the rear visibility is perfectly sufficient. You notice the active spoiler working, which looks really cool, but you do have rather large D pillars which, impede your view out the sides and everything. But it's okay. You've got a simple rear view camera, no 360 unfortunately. That brings me on to sort of the infotainment standpoint of the car. This is dated. It's dated, but then people could go, it's retro. You've got your analog clock, you've got all physical buttons, which is nice. You do have CarPlay. You don't have Android Auto, but obviously this layout with the classic Lexus trackpad map thingy-mabobby that's there is not the greatest infotainment to use, but once you connect CarPlay, not a big deal. It's all right in that regard. But the main thing is obviously the engine. Naturally aspirated V8 sports car. What other options do you really have in 2024 if you're looking at buying something which is sporty, V8, coupe, naturally aspirated? There isn't really many options. Handling wise, super confidence inspiring, obviously being very linear in its power delivery, given that it's naturally aspirated. Feel like it's skittish, it wants to get away from you, it's going to step out at any moment because, the turbos have kicked in and you were in the wrong gear or anything like that whatsoever. It's really linear, really confidence inspiring. The weighting on the steering wheel as well is like really nice in that regard. It doesn't feel fake. And the car overall, you have to bear in mind, this is not a particularly light car, but it's definitely got ample amount of power. Another thing I love, obviously from an interior standpoint, you've got your regular traditional Lexus style, Toyota style gate gear shifter. It would have been really nice to add to that racing or sporty element by having your plus minus. If I go over, this is up, this is down. If it was reversed, because if you think about it, when you're going to a corner, you want to downshift, but that's actually upshift. But you've got the paddle shifters on the steering wheel, so you can use that. And I'm just so impressed as well. This is a, traditional automatic gearbox. It isn't a dual clutch gearbox, which is obviously going to be considerably more responsive. But if I just this is one of those cars that, like, okay, I have a Toyota 86 personally, and you can drive that like a hooligan all over the place, but you're not actually going fast. If you're at a light, a Camry is going to accelerate quicker to 100 kilometers an hour than an 86 will. This thing, though, on the other hand, is going to get you into trouble really quickly because it's really fast. And because it has that luxury element to it, the sound isolation, all of those details, it doesn't feel like you're going that fast. So 30, and bam, you're at the speed limit. So this is something I would consider. You need a daily driver. You like the coupe styling and everything. You want a little something of Lexus's performance prowess. Thinking back to LFA, which most people can't afford these days. They aren't sold from new anymore. This is something you can go and buy still in 2024. Coupe V8 that handles exceptionally well. I would say this is something, though, you want to be going to Dubai Autodrome, Yas Marina, and really letting it stretch its legs every once in a while. That's going to let you really utilize the car at the end of the day. But overall, you may consider what am I looking at? What does this potentially compare to? Well, you've got BMW M3, M4, Mercedes C63, E63, something in sort of, you know, that lineup. Once again, this is going to hold considerably more value. One. Two, your cost of ownership, I would imagine, is going to be lower. And three, it hasn't really, it's a double-edged sword, right? So if you look at even my car, the 86, it's only changed shape twice in its complete life cycle so far. So you don't feel like you're driving an old car. And if you look at this from the outside, you don't feel like it's an old car because the shape is somewhat timeless and it hasn't changed since 2017. I think in other markets in the world, you get like a track pack version. I really like that interior. It's got, instead of the red, blue, and you get Alcantara on the steering wheel, some more Alcantara rear spoiler, and some more motorsport inspired wheels. But I think this from every angle just looks gorgeous and is somewhat timeless. It's not like comparing it to, like, say, the other vehicles out there where you buy it next year or 2 years later, a new model comes out and now you feel that it's old at the end of the day. And I think last but not least is going to be the price. So pricing is going to cost you 385,000 dirhams, which in this day and age, I think is not too bad. So if you like what we do on the channel, want to feature more cars, let us know in the comments below. What would you like us to review next? We'll try and get our hands on it. Is there some details that, you know, we missed, or some details you'd like to know more about the RCF overall? Let us know. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next video. Peace.